Hi, my name's Trevor Wilkins. Have you ever been involved in a project where there was a difference in opinion or a difference in facts that seemed to be completely irreconcilable and you could do nothing about it at all? Maybe it was even a family situation. Have you ever tried to influence people to accept change, maybe to a price, a timescale or a deliverable, and you really weren't sure how each of the individual people were going to accept that change? And worst of all, have you ever been in a situation where there was no communication at all? No trust, and you couldn't move things forward. And that's just the worst situation you can be in. There's no easy way of solving this problem. When I was a young salesman, people said to me all the time, see the problem from the other side of the table, the buyer's side of the table. Very easy to say, not that easy to do, particularly if you're a 31-year-old software sales guy talking to a 61-year-old Swiss banker. Over the years, I've used and developed the technique that we're going to look at today. It's called 4C, because you can use it to foresee what's going to happen, possibly, from 4 different positions. I've used this technique with myself, with my clients, and with my sales teams and my partners. Today, we're going to do the exercise using my good friend and colleague, Francisco Mendivil. Thank you very much for coming, Francisco. What I'd like to do is take you over to the other side here and we'll do the exercise. Okay, so thank you very much, Francisco. This is where we're going to do the exercise today. What I'd like you to do first is to sit down in this chair. The orange chair is very clearly marked as first position. Now, what I want you to do is what I hope comes easily to most people. I want you to think about yourself, okay? So just be yourself, nothing complicated at this stage. But I want to maybe take it to the next level. I'd like you to think about the influences on you in your work and in your life, maybe decisions you've made, things that have happened to you, influences on you, significant emotional events, things that press you, maybe from work, from the people around you. And just think about the makeup of those filters that we talked about in that last class. Okay, so let's take it to the next level. You're saying you have a problem that you'd like to solve. Could you give us a high level, I don't want the detail, but a high level view of what this problem is, please?
Yeah, I was in a situation where I said some things that I regret.
And what, do you want to go back and redress the situation?
Yeah.
Do you think it might get out of hand? So there's probably something worth doing. Does this person have a name? In fact, I mean, you can give me the real name, or shall we make one up?
Make one up.
Make one up. What's the person called?
Jennifer.
Okay, it's a lady called Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do now, Francisco, is I want you to move yourself in your own mind to the last time that you saw Jennifer. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open, it's up to you entirely. People are different. I'd like you to think about a specific time in the past when you had a meeting with her. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to go back to that time, and I want you to hear the words that were spoken by both of you. I want you to see the things that you saw, and I want you to feel the things that you felt. In particular, I want you to actually consciously listen to the words that you remember her saying during that conversation and see what effect they had on you, both in terms of your understanding and the physiological effect that they had on you. So I'll just shut up for a few minutes and let you do that. Okay, cool. I can see there's plenty of intensity there. So can we maybe go back to another time? You've met this lady several times, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can you go back to another time, maybe something less formal than an office, maybe when you've met her at a lunchtime period or something like that? Go back to that time, think about the words that were said, the feelings you felt, and the things you saw, the whole scenario. Run it through. Eyes shut, eyes closed, however you wish. Are you there? Good. Okay, that's great, Francisco. You've been really, really helpful. What I'd like to do is have you look at the ceiling. Can you see the square tiles on the ceiling? Can you start counting them for me? I know it sounds crazy. That's what we call a pattern interrupt. So hopefully I've stopped you thinking about those meetings, and now we're going to change you and we're going to put you into second position. So what I'd like you to do is stand up and move into the second position, which is the blue chair here. Again, very clearly notified as blue. Now, your name is Jennifer, is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to leave yourself behind. Remember, you used to be Francisco. All of those beliefs and values and experiences that Francisco had, to the best of your ability, I want you to become Jennifer. I want you, again, do you know Jennifer reasonably well? Do you know something about her background? So it should be fairly easy for you to be Jennifer. You can think about maybe where she came from, how she gets to work, what sort of family situation she's in, what's her business situation. If you know anything at all about all of that stuff, I'd like you, to the best of your, very best of your ability, be Jennifer. Just spend a few moments becoming Jennifer. Maybe it helps by sitting the way that Jennifer sits. How does Jennifer sit? Does she sit in a particular way? If there's something distinctive that you remember, that will help you to become Jennifer. That's cool. Okay. Do you know anything about how Jennifer comes to work? Yeah, okay. So just run through your mind that little timeline of her coming to work into this really very fine office. And maybe she's thinking about the meeting that she's going to have with Francisco. Okay, well, Jennifer, so what I want you to do now, please, is you're just about to have the meeting with Francisco. In fact, he's just come in the door, and I'd like you to go back to the last. You've had several meetings with Francisco, have you, over this particular issue? So I'd like you to go back to that meeting. I'd like you to run the conversation through your mind. I want you to hear the words that you heard, see the things that you saw, both things you did and that Francisco did, and feel the way you felt. In particular, I'd like you to think about the words that you heard, the words that were Francisco's and the words that Jennifer heard, the ideas that Francisco had and the ideas that you received. And best of all, if you can, Jennifer, what I want you to do is maybe try and get some insight into the motivations for the way that you did any of that translation and interpretation. So let's just go run through that meeting, please. Okay, cool. Now, you said you've had several meetings with Francisco. Have you had one maybe in a group environment? Did that not go very well either? Okay, so shall we just run through that one again? Think about the people that were around you, but most importantly of all, think about Francisco. Think about the words he used, the way that he used them, his intonation, the speed, his intention in the use of those words, and the way those words were interpreted by you, the way they made you felt, and the information that you got from those words. And again, just to amp it up that little bit, see if you can get any sort of an insight into what led you to that particular interpretation or understanding. Just run through that meeting for a few moments. Do you want to do a third one, or should we leave it at that? That's okay. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, please, Jennifer, is I'd like you to stand up and just look out behind you and count how many windows there are, and indeed, what a fantastic view we've got outside there of the Rideau Canal. Yeah. Okay, so what we've done, Francisco, is we put you now into third position. This is a very powerful position. It's a person who has no interest themselves in the outcome of this dispute or the decision that's being made or the sale that's going to be made. They have no axe to grind, as we say in England. The key thing about this particular person is you also have a magic capability. Would you like a magic capability, Francisco?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So this magic capability is very powerful. You can see inside Jennifer's head, and you can see inside Francisco's head, and you can see the filters that they are using to make their own interpretation of the words they hear and the things that they see around them. And those are very, very powerful impressions. Indeed, that's what this is all about. So what I'd like you to do is just for a few moments, sit there on the outside of this conversation. We'll look at both conversations. You remember there was one that was in an office environment and one that was in a less formal environment. So I'd like you to watch, using those magical powers of your own, I'd like you to watch these two people, Jennifer and Francisco, having a conversation. Using your magic powers. To the best of your ability, anyway. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll go to the second one, but I also want you to understand that the key thing at the end of this time is you're going to be able to give them advice, either through me or directly to them. So this second time run, which is the less formal situation, I'd like you to think about the advice that you would give them about the words they're using, who's leading the conversation, who's saying most, who's using pictures, who's using hard data, and maybe give them some advice when it comes to matching those up. So let's have a go at the second meeting. Cool, you're getting something useful from that? Excellent. So maybe if you look over, there's a really nice picture of the University of Ottawa taken, I guess, from a drone. No, it's too old to become from a drone, isn't it? But it's definitely not anything any use. So what I'd like you to do now, Francisco, is to go to fourth position, stand just beside that table. Now, fourth position does have an interest in this situation being resolved. They do have an interest in the purchase. They do have an interest in the decision that's going to come out of all of this. And in fact, fourth position is also a multiple position. It can be many people who will be affected by this decision. It could be a customer. It could be a co-worker. It could be your God. It could be the law. It could be your mother-in-law. It could be many, many people. So I'd like you, with your unique ability to know what's going on here, have a think about who would be affected by this situation being resolved or the decision being made. Just take a moment or two to think about that. How many people can you come up with? Three. All right, well, let's do the first couple since time's a little bit pressing. So what I'd like you to do is, let's do the first two, and I'd like each of those people to watch each of those two meetings. So the first one was the office meeting, and the second one was the informal meeting. So if you'd just like to watch those meetings, you don't have any magic powers. You're only thinking about yourself. You're listening to the words that are being used. You're listening to the decisions that are being discussed and thinking, how is this affecting me? I want you to be completely selfish. Go for it. Okay, so that's persona number one. Would you like to have a go with the second person? Okay, cool. Just a matter of interest, what are the two people who've been that you picked there?
Customers.
Customers, both different customers.
Yeah.
And how did you differentiate between the two customers?
That they were for different plans.
All right, that's cool. Okay, well, so what I'd like you to do now is you are now allowed to be Francisco. I'd like you to come back to first position and let's see what's happened. Okay, Francisco, was that a good experience?
Yes, it was, Trevor.
And have you got some insights now that you didn't have, 15 minutes ago?
Yes, I do.
Would you be prepared to share with us some of the things that perhaps you would do differently in future interacting with Jennifer?
I would choose my words more carefully because at that time I was a little bit stressed, so I said some things that I regret.
So you take a bit more control. And the other thing?
The fourth position helped me a lot to see the perspective that Jennifer had at that moment.
Oh, I see. So the fourth was actually just as important as knowing about Jennifer. Is there anything else you want to say about this particular exercise?
It was a great exercise, very valuable.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great doing it with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do hope you can now see why 4C is so very useful and will give it a try. It's even actually a really good team building or project kickoff exercise for a bunch of new people who are going to be working together. You can use 4C to prepare for a difficult meeting. You can use it to prepare for an interview. You can use it before you're going to do a proposal so that the person reading the proposal has better insights from what you've written. And you can use it in the same way for a presentation. Best of all, it gives your team a really powerful shorthand. To say Ben has no capability for getting into second position is a very powerful statement to make. And once people understand first, second, third and fourth position, has a huge amount of information in it. I even use 4C myself in my head, in a taxi, in an airport departure lounge, maybe even sitting in a waiting room before a meeting, just to run through and try and understand what I'm just about to influence from the point of view of the person on the other side of the table. Down the bottom here, you'll see some links that'll take you to some videos, some coaching notes, and some scripts. Please use them. And please try and integrate 4C into your life all the time. You can use it as a very valuable tool for when things go wrong, but the best way to use it is have it inside you all the time. Good luck with using this very